of looking ahead instead of right in front of me.
This is not a drill!
There will be one lion.
Welcome to this week's Arts 24 Cinema Show, where I'm joined by film critic Emma Jones to take us through some of the new releases over the festive period. Hi, Emma.
Hi.
Now, first, we're plunging into the darkness in midwinter, fittingly, with Nosferatu, released on December 25th. This is by director Robert Eggers. Now, I know this is a film that he's wanted to make for a long time, right, Emma?
It is, and it's one of the most anticipated horror movies literally in years, and that's partly because of the weight of cinematic expectations upon it. The original is Nosferatu, a symphony of horror.
Of course.
And that is a German silent vampire movie made in 1922 by F.W. Murnau, starring Max Schreck, and it's still regarded as the original horror masterpiece. But Robert Eggers has a few landmark films under his own belt by now. I guess that includes The Witch and The Lighthouse. And he has said that at high school he actually made a silent play of Nosferatu, which confirmed his desire that he was going to be a film director. So now he's made the actual film. And it's starring French-American actress Lily-Rose Depp, Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult and Eggers' longtime collaborator Willem Dafoe. So the story, Nosferatu with Skarsgård playing the monster Count Orlok, is a version of the Dracula tale, and it's set in 1830s Germany with a young man, Thomas, played by Nicholas Hoult, journeying to Transylvania, he really shouldn't, to meet Count Orlok. And Orlok becomes obsessed with Thomas's wife, Ellen, who's played by Depp. Now, Ellen is really the main character in this story. She's really fleshed out, and it turns out that she has a childhood trauma, and that is the wound with which Count Orlok can communicate telepathically with her.
Oh, okay, so far so spooky. Well, let's get a feel for Nosferatu and also hear from Robert Eggers, who spoke to France 24 about casting Lily-Rose Depp as Ellen.
It is like a dream.
It was our wedding. When we turned around, everyone was dead. The stench of their bodies was horrible. Standing before me was death. But I'd never been so happy.
I had seen some small roles that she'd done and was impressed, and also she has an incredible look for a gothic horror film. And then as soon as we spoke a little bit, she understood the script entirely. She'd seen every major Dracula film and some more obscure ones, but she, immediately brought up Żuławski, and it was clear that she knew what this was. And then she did an audition, and it was so powerful that myself, the casting director, even the videographer were in tears. And she's been an absolute pleasure to work with, and she just gives such a raw, brave, insane performance.
Now, Depp really is fantastic as the character of Ellen, although sometimes I feel her possession looks a little too aesthetically stylish.
Does wear it very well, but most importantly, were you terrified?
Unfortunately not. A few jumps, really, but it is a very satisfying watch, and it's a film that's clearly made with a lot of devotion.
Okay, noted. Well, onto a totally different genre now, a love story directed by John Crowley, whose 2015 film Brooklyn, starring Saoirse Ronan, received multiple Oscar nominations. This one, We Live in Time, is set in London. It stars Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield as Almut and Tobias. Let's take a look.
Whether we like it or not, clock is ticking.
What's the rush?
Because I'm worried that there's a very distinct and real possibility that I am about to fall in love with you.
I'm okay. It's okay, honestly. It's okay not to be okay. It's a lot.
Wow, Emma, I know you really loved this film, so when can we all go and see it?
On January the 1st. And if anyone's feeling a little bit overwrought after New Year's Eve, let's say, this will have you laughing and crying at the same time. So never mind the rom-com as a genre. I feel, the love story as a film, including something like The Notebook, say, or the 1970 classic weepy love story starring Ali McGraw and Ryan O'Neal, that's a genre that seems to have gone completely out of fashion.
True.
But until that is, we live in time. And Garfield and Pugh play a young couple with a spectacular meet cute. She runs him over.
Cute-ish.
Yes, exactly. And then the film moves backwards and forwards in time over the history of their relationship, but it's never in a confusing way. So prepare for a lot of tears, because Pugh's character Almut has a life-threatening illness, but also a lot of laughs, including, incredibly, a childbirth scene.
Okay.
And it's all made possible by Pugh and Garfield's ridiculous on-screen chemistry.
Okay, well, let's take a look at that perfect casting. Here's Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield on what that elusive screen chemistry involves.
No amount of studying chemistry can prepare you for whether it'll work or not. It's all down to two energies meeting and wanting to be there for one another.
If any of us have been in love, you know there's this spiritual element. We have a mutual care, a mutual respect, and a mutual inspiration for each other.
I just knew that I would be completely seen and held by this man.
And I heard that it is cute. Florence Pugh actually really shaved off her hair for this film as well.
I believe so, and I believe in real time in the scene as well.
Wow.
So this is a lovely, tender, life-affirming film that will give you an appropriate start to your new year if you go and see it, and your resolutions. It'll make you really think about how you spend your time and who you give it to.
An important message to start the year with, indeed. Well, on to a couple of new releases this week here in France. The first is Kraven the Hunter. This is the sixth film in Sony's Spiderman universe, directed by J.C. Chanda. It stars Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Russell Crowe and Ariana DeBose. It actually performed quite badly at the box office in the US, had an $11 million opening weekend. How did you find it?
Yeah, I know audiences have been really quick to show their displeasure this year if a film doesn't suit them, but to say Kraven the Hunter is not Joker 2, it's not bad. Okay. I think not only are there many other options to watch in the cinemas right now, but I don't think anyone was really crying out for an origin story of the Marvel comic character Kraven the Hunter. But of course, Aaron Taylor-Johnson does have form in the superhero genre. He, famously gave a performance in Kick-Ass, and then he's also starred as Quicksilver in the Avengers franchise, and he's really pumped up and beefed up in order to tell the story of Sergei Kravinov, who absorbed lion's blood in a hunting accident, yes, I know, and then becomes Kraven the Hunter with animalistic instincts.
Okay, well, let's see a bit of Kraven the Hunter and hear from Aaron Taylor-Johnson about his role in the movie.
You think you're some kind of honor, some kind of code. You're just another man.
Whoever is righteous,
Hunting for a trophy.
let him be righteous still.
Just like our father.
When the man comes around. When the man comes around.
Embrace who you really are, son.
I put my whole heart and soul in it, and it was, trained very hard. We dived deep into the source material. We really wanted to give a unique story to this character and give him, somewhere to go from, right? Give him the grounds to go on a journey with the audience.
So it sounds a bit like that journey he mentions doesn't really take off.
It's just a bit bland. I'd say the spiciest thing in it is really Russell Crowe's Russian accent, because he's playing Kraven's dad in it. You heard a bit of that earlier, actually. Ariana DeBose, she's really underutilised as Calypso, Kraven's sidekick, and you'd expect really a lot more, I would say, from J.C. Chanda. He made a couple of fabulous movies, including the finance film Margin Call, and then All Is Lost a couple of years later, starring Robert Robert Redford. Fantastic films. And I just feel maybe he was just told to make a generic origin story. Just proves you can't really rely on this genre anymore to make a profit.
Maybe it's not his thing. Indeed. Well, finally, to another huge release this week. This is a family film. Mufasa, the Lion King, directed by Moonlight's Barry Jenkins. Now, this is a prequel story to the 2019 film The Lion King, which was a photorealistic animation version of the 1994 Disney classic that we all know and love, The Lion King. So I think the circle of life here is continuing.
It is indeed. You know, it's telling the story of Mufasa, Simba's father, and how he came to be king. Now, the legendary actor James Earl Jones, he died this year, aged 93. He'd always historically lent his voice to Mufasa, but apparently he declined the role when it was offered to him earlier. The film is dedicated to his memory, and it said it's London-born actor Aaron Pierre who gives his voice to Mufasa. Now, you might remember him because he did a star turn in the Netflix hit Rebel Ridge earlier this year. Now, also, Beyonce, she's back voicing Nala, Simba's lioness. She was also in the 2019 version. We can see her and her daughter there. Beyonce also released the album soundtrack to the 2019 version. And it is her daughter, Blue Ivy Carter, who voices Kiara, Simba and Nala's little cub.
Wow.
So starting a bit early in the business.
Amazing. Pressure from those famous parents, perhaps. Well, there are also some original songs written by Lin-Manuel Miranda of Hamilton fame. Here's more from him on how he wasn't, in fact, intimidated by some of the existing music associated with The Lion King.
I was emboldened by the fact that there's the 94 original, which is like an immortal classic, but there's also the Broadway musical. And there's also Beyonce's album, The Gift, which I think expanded the musical vocabulary of what can be a Lion King song. So I felt a lot of space to create because I felt like Lion King's practically a genre of music and there was room to play and find new stuff within it.
You know, it's hard to see how this film will go wrong with audiences. Most importantly, though, it is a backstory with a lot of heart.
OK, well, I think the fans will probably be out in force then. Thank you very much for that roundup this week, Emma. Before it hits the cinema, of course, we'll leave you with a preview of Mufasa, the Lion King. Thanks to you at home for watching and see you in the new year for more movies, arts and culture here on Arts 24.
We have come to rule without mercy.
Bend to evil. We must fight together.
We are nearing destiny, Mufasa. And so the earth must shake.
Stand down. I am highly trained and occasionally offended.